Maximum rent should be based on minimum wage. But what about fancy places? Quote, they should be the peak of the prices, with everything else falling well below that. There are more homes than homeless people. So let's make homes more affordable. In the past 50 years, median rent has gone up 20x. $108 per mo to $2,000 per mo. While the minimum wage has only gone up less than 5 times. $1.60-ish to $7.25. Back then, you'd need to work 67.5 hours on minimum wage in a month to afford median rent. While today you'd have to work over 250 hours on minimum wage to pay for median rent. Things need to change. You can't afford a good meal with $7.25. No, cuz then how are landlords supposed to make a profit stealing my paycheck so I can have a basic human right? Checkmate. Liberal. S. We need to stop allowing companies to own large amounts of properties. I would even be for restricting individuals to only buying 23 properties per city. Better than the utter lack of restrictions we have now. I've seen it before, but yeah. Why not let's tie minimum wage to cost of rent and let the parasites fight it out amongst themselves. This is going to continue to be a problem until people in this community and others like it realize the real causes of this problem so that the problem can be identified and a real push for change can be made. I know I'll get downvoted for this, but it's not share of renters versus owners that is causing the issue. The true problem is, almost everywhere in the West, that governments have stopped building public housing and put up barriers to building more private housing. This is not a bug in our society. It's a feature. The boomers have, as a whole, owned their own property for the last 20 years and continue to vote in the interest of causing it to go up in value. Combine that with North America having the most restrictive zoning on the planet. Land of the free, right? As well as most NA cities reaching the end of what can be achieved under Marchetti's constant. The real solutions we can push for are increased public housing and decreased restrictions on building denser housing. Looking at you, North America's car-centric zoning laws. Basically, we should start lobbying our regional governments en masse for more public transportation and our local governments to build public housing and allow private developers to build housing in places that are currently illegal to build in. For instance, the huge empty parking lots at your nearest shopping mall. A lot of rentals have been implementing this in the reverse. You need to make 24 times the rent in order to live at a place, but this isn't based on minimum wage or even average wage. You want the government to micromanage the entire real estate and wage market? What could possibly go wrong with that? Quick question. How many of the people in this posting are living in a high cost of living city near a coast? I am suspecting the majority are. I live in a city too. But if you make the starting $33,500 wage of one of our city government workers, such as a garbage truck driver, it is possible to own your own house here. It might not be large, but it will be cheaper than rent. There are houses here for $70,000 or even less, at 7.8% interest, 30-year fixed. $70,000 works out to $505 per month. Since property taxes are about $700 per year and insurance is about maybe $1,000, that is a payment of just under $650 per month total. A city dog catcher or trash truck driver would pay about 23% of gross pay for a house. But I suppose that isn't possible in San Diego, LA, NY, Miami, Chicago, and San Francisco. There is a shortage of city workers here. Lots of openings. I agree 100%. In addition, Unemployment benefits should be tied to the average rent prices in the area. High rent, higher UE. So I did the math in the county that I live in order to make ends meet with a 40-hours-week job. You would need to be making at least $25 per hour. This is a one-bedroom apt car. Used about 20 years old. Car insurance. Required by my state. Gas. Utilities. Food. And a basic cell plan from one of the major cell companies. Minimum wage in my state is a bit better than Fed at about $9.75. I recently quit my job as the first assistant manager at fast food franchise. I was a manager there for 5 years, and a year prior to that I was a team member. My pay on my last paycheck was $13 per hour plus a $100 weekly bonus if I worked over 40 hours. The GM was making 50 cents more than me an hour and had the same bonus. Team members made $11. None of us had any real benefits. We got a free meal once a shift. Both me and the GM are in multi-income home situations in order to make ends meet. This is not right in any world. I should have been making 23x as much and GM 46x. Our store was the most profitable of the 4 locations under that owner. I was even more senior than 2 of the other GMs. Not entirely, but it should be possible to get a nice place within 30 minutes walking distance of where you work. With what you make, don't know if part 2 would work out, but pay transit time above 30 minutes walking. That mean your clock starts 30 minutes after you step out of the house. All transportation, vehicular wear, gas, parking, partial insurance, whatever is covered too. Boycott Airbnb. In bigger cities and tourist destinations, it would make a big difference if such a large portion of these houses could be put on the long-term rental sale market instead of some rich tourists for a few days. Supply and demand, right? Free up the supply that already exists. Their answer is to build more. And they're all luxury condos nobody can afford. That's the thing. It should be an option to have a better place, or better food, or a better quality of material for your hobbies. But it should not be optional to have a home or not. I previously thought that if some people chose not to want a home or chose to do things with the money that they didn't need one. But the realization of how much space is wasted on bad design and zoning has made me realize that we could have a home for everyone whether they want it or not and leave the choice up to them. But that requires something stronger than UBI and more complicated than rent. Because if someone wants to upgrade, they should have some level of options. But the act of upgrading is complicated due to ensuring the home they leave and the home they go to is of the typical quality for that type. But people are destructive even when they don't intend to be. And for those who choose not to use the home they have, it can be complicated depending on their choices. Like if they use the home but leave it arguably open to the elements when they leave. The possibility of such is likely a good argument for why apartments are better, as the bulk of any damage would come from the windows, which is limited, and a slightly annoying breach of autonomy in having the windows automatically close occasionally and open occasionally, based on weather, can solve the problem of abandonment. The yearly taxes on the last apartment I rented was $700K per year. 400 mo of my rent, 1800 mo total, was going to taxes alone. Utilities were paid for anywhere from 100,000 to 200 mo, my guess. So 1200 mo per unit, assuming all filled. For salaries, benefits, maintenance, and revenue. I'm not saying rent isn't bonkers, but 400 mo for taxes alone. Again, assuming all units occupied all year. People are just not gonna hire anyone to work or find other ways to screw over tenants. I think a more successful approach is a cap on how much over a mortgage one is paying in rent. Like cap it at something everyone would agree is sufficient. Say 2x. And that would change everything. The fact that we're all paying $1,600 plus for a one-bedroom that has a $500 per MN mortgage should be a crime. They would find another way, such as through country club dues or other association fees, i.e., you lease a condo, but you also have to pay a bunch of building operations and maintenance fees. When we had compensation caps during the Depression, firms adapted by offering high-demand employees or directors perks, which was how private health insurance became common. The real answer is to coerce owners to seek price discovery. We can do this with nuisance disoccupancy fines that penalizes people and firms for not putting empty units on the market, which can be detected through energy and utility usage rates, and the threat of additional fines for non-disclosure. We can also penalize under occupancy by working it into the property tax formula. At the level of public planning, we can also free up a lot of valuable land for development by eliminating setback rules, rules against mixed-use development, off-street parking minimums, rules against infill development, granny shacks or plexing, and very generally any other sort of subsidy for low-density, car-centric planning. Just limit the no of homes a person or cooperation can own. That would fix the rent issue. It will also bring down the real estate cost. I wish there was a way to make this happen. I really do. But the fact is, those with money would take advantage of super cheap housing and gain an even bigger foothold. It's all about supply and demand, and unless we drastically increase the amount of housing available by a huge amount, demand will always keep prices high. People just wouldn't rent out their places then, or find arrangements that would lead to tenants paying more anyway. A service fee here, a convenience fee there, and boom, you're back to old rent levels. Sorry, but the folks on Wall Street who own all the homes don't want that. Just like they didn't want JFK to pry any further. I'm saying sell your convertible.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.